So thank you all so much for joining us in this Home Dialysis Hero interactive event. We are very excited to have everyone on. And before we get started, just a couple reminders. This call is being recorded and all lines have been muted. So if you have any questions or comments throughout the call, just please let us know in the chat and we'll be sure to get to them. And in today's presentation, we're going to be discussing what does home dialysis actually look like. I'm Miriam Alaboud, and we also have Danny Anchia and Arlandra Taylor from our Quality Improvement Department on the call. And we also have members from our Patient Advisory Committee joining us today. We've got Precious McCowan and Sam and Lacey Trevino, and they're going to be presenting on today's call. So the ESRD Network of Texas is a nonprofit organization incorporated in Texas, and we provide services on behalf of CMS. And what our main mission is to support equitable patient and family-centered quality dialysis and kidney transplant healthcare. And we do this by providing patient services, education, quality management, and information management, or quality improvement and information management. On today's call, we've got Precious McCowan from our Patient Advisory Committee, and Precious is a two-time kidney transplant recipient from Dallas, Texas. She was diagnosed with kidney disease in 2010 and has been a very active patient advocate since then. She's also the chair of our Patient Advisory Council. Precious, did you want to introduce yourself or have anything to add?
Yes, hello everyone, and thank you so much for the warm introduction. As she said, I am Precious McCowan. I am a two-time kidney transplant recipient, and I received my second kidney transplant actually April of 2019. And I've always did in-center hemodialysis, and I just never had the courage to transition to home. And I will share a little bit about that with you all today.
Thank you, Precious. And on today's call, we also have Sam and Lacey Trevino. Sam is a former dialysis patient of 17 years. He is also a transplant recipient and a patient advocate. Lacey is his care partner, kidney donor, and also Sam's true superhero. Sam and Lacey's upbeat attitude and humor have enabled them to develop the Urine Inspiration, which is a presentation aimed at educating everyone about living a full life, even in the face of medical challenges. And Sam and Lacey, would you all like to introduce yourself or have anything to add? Let me see if I can unmute their lines, help them out really quick. Hey, Sam, are you able to hear us?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Oh, hi, Sam and Lacey. It's great to have you on. Did you guys want to introduce yourself and have anything to add?
No, I'm Sam Trevino, a longtime patient.
I'm Lacey Trevino, a longtime care partner and patient advocate.
And I'm a kidney recipient, the gift of Lacey, my wife. So she's a experienced donor as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the call and for being our home dialysis hero for the ESRD networks. And we're excited to have all of you all present and let us know a little bit more about your home dialysis journey today. So just to let everybody briefly know what a home dialysis hero is, basically it's just a patient or a care partner who performs dialysis treatments at home, and they're familiar with the ups and downs of kidney disease, and they're willing to be kind of a peer mentor just to share more about their home dialysis journey, to provide guidance and emotional support for either existing home dialysis patients or patients that have questions or debating if they should do home dialysis. In today's presentation, we're going to be discussing home dialysis and the myths, facts, and fears, the precautions you should take, having pets in home, and the freedom that you get. And we really want to make this an interactive call, so please throughout the call, let us know any comments or questions you have for our PAC members, or just that you have about home dialysis in general. And we do have a question for you all. What are your myths and fears when it comes to home dialysis? And what is holding you back from starting your journey? Let us know in the chat. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Precious so she can tell us more about the myths, facts, and fears. Take it away, Precious.
Thank you, Miriam. Before my second kidney transplant, I did in-center hemodialysis for 10 years. When I was introduced to home dialysis, I had been on in-center hemo for quite some time, and at that point, I was comfortable and adjusted to my treatment and was not receptive to change. But, however, if home dialysis were introduced to me early on, I would have transitioned to a home modality. So I must be truthful in saying this, that there were particular myths and fears that alter my decision. So today I will discuss some of those myths, fears, and facts that I later learned about when presented with effective home dialysis education. So let's get started. Okay, number one, you must have a care partner. That is a myth. You can do home dialysis alone or with the support of a care partner. You will also have the support of a 24/7 on-call nurse, so you are not alone. Number two, I can have pets. That's a fact. You can have pets. Just keep them away from your treatment area and supplies. Number three, you can easily get infections. That is both a myth and a fear. So by using proper training and hand washing techniques, infections can be avoided. Number four, you need a big space for supply storage. That's a myth. You don't need a lot of extra storage space. However, your care team can help you find creative ways to store your supplies inside of your home. Number five, fear of needles. Of course, we all know that that is a fear. It's my fear. Even if you're scared of needles, you can still do home dialysis. Peritoneal dialysis doesn't require needles. Number six, I have to do dialysis at the same time each day. That is a myth. You can fit home dialysis around your family, work, or travel lifestyle, not the other way around. You can basically choose what time is convenient for you. Just make sure you are in compliance with your doctor's orders or recommendations. Number seven, training is too difficult. That is both a myth and fear. You don't need a medical background. You will be provided the training you need to succeed. The nurses will train you and your care partner if you have one, and make sure you are ready to do dialysis at home and on your own before they release you from training. Number eight, I can travel when I want. That is a fact. Yes, you can travel when you want. You can ship your supplies ahead of time to where you're going to be traveling, and everything is taken care of from there. So next we're going to talk about precautions. Of course, with any treatment, there are precautions, and the same applies to home dialysis. So next, I will discuss precautions and some tips to help avoid these challenges. Number one, infection control. Practice good infection control practices, such as hand washing and keeping your access clean. Number two, supplies need to be stored in a temperature-controlled area. So make sure your supplies are stored in an area that doesn't get too hot or too cold. Excessive heat or cold can cause supplies not to be effective. Number 3, monitoring your blood sugar. That is very important, especially being on PD or peritoneal dialysis. If you're on peritoneal dialysis, you need to check your blood sugar during treatment, since the solution that is used is a mixture of dextrose, which is made up of sugar. Number 4, check vital signs both before and after treatment. You must check your vital signs at the beginning and at the end of treatment. You will also need to monitor your blood pressure during your treatment. Number 5, phone accessibility. Always have your phone close by in case of an emergency. Number 6, priority list for utilities. This is very important. Contact your utility company to notify them that you are a home dialysis patient so that you can be put on the priority list to ensure your power doesn't get cut off during a treatment. Number 7, prepare for emergencies. Make a list of important contacts and phone numbers you will need and have supplies on hand if an emergency happens. That's a very important factor to consider when doing home dialysis. Although, I have a kidney transplant, over the years, I've been educated about home dialysis, the do's, the don'ts, the precautions, the myths, the facts, and the fears. However, I never had the courage to just, transition. But if my transplant that I have now was to go into rejection or fail, home dialysis would definitely be my first choice. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing more about your journey, Precious, and letting us know all that information. And now we're going to have Sam and Lacey telling us a little bit more about having pets at home and the freedom that you get.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
I'm Sam.
I'm Lacey.
And thanks for having us. We just want to talk about having pets at home. Those are our extended family, and many of you know that our pets have their own characteristics and their own attitudes.
And they're our fur babies, and we very much cherish them in our lives. And so sometimes that is a fear that people feel that they aren't going to be able to keep their pets if they want to dialyze at home, whether it's, with peritoneal or home hemo.
Yep. And so, we have a couple of just tips that you can follow to make sure that you're always at home with your pets and you have them around for a long time.
One thing I would like to add is pets are trainable. And so even though you might be introducing something new into your home with dialysis, that doesn't mean that you can't train your pets to follow different rules. We've moved around quite a few times with our pets, and we've trained them in different ways, and they learn.
They're probably easier to train than I am, so that's
and children.
So one tip is keep pets in another room during treatments, especially when connecting and disconnecting to your machine or PD catheter or cannulating. Our pets, they have dander. They start scratching and throw fur everywhere. So it's just a good idea to keep them out of your dialysis room for safety.
Right. And then, if you have a room specific to your treatment, try and keep your supplies and your machine, whichever one you're using, in a different room with the door closed, because oftentimes I know we have cats and they love to scratch boxes. They're curious. They're interested in these new products in your home. So if you can just keep them away from your supplies and your machine, that's just a safety precaution. That doesn't mean you can't keep them in your house.
And wash your hands frequently.
Right. And we've been doing this, thank you, COVID, for many different reasons. However, just prior to actually connecting to your modality, whatever machine it is. Just make sure, even if you have washed your hands, if you touched something in between, whether it be your pet or anything else, make sure that your hands are clean immediately before connecting.
Next slide, please.
So you can, take charge of your care. Honestly, home modalities gave us the freedom to dialyze when we wanted to. We were not connected to a chair schedule. We spent many years in center and we were connected to that chair schedule, which is very restricted. So you can take charge of your schedule and your treatment around your life.
Yeah, and under that, take care of your care, take charge of your care. Be empowered. Ask questions. Everybody is there to help you along and empower you to be the best self-care advocate that you can possibly be. So don't be afraid if somebody doesn't have the answer to your questions. Keep asking those questions, and eventually you'll find the answer that you're looking for.
Yeah, and utilize your dietitians and your social workers, your nurses, your patient care technicians. They all have their own experience with different patients, especially ones that have gone home. So if you can educate yourself prior to going home, that's only going to empower you and educate you to really feel more in charge of your home therapies.
And there are so many benefits that come with that freedom of dialyzing at home. You have the ability to dialyze morning, noon, or night. You don't have to wake up and be on somebody's schedule, come in, sit down, stand up, get out, get off. You can do when your treatments, when it's most, most, I guess, convenient for you. Thank you. And, something that comes with home dialysis as well, the magic in home dialysis is more frequency, more treatments. That sounds crazy to some people, but your kidneys work 24/7 all week long. And if we could just remove those toxins more often, we would have more benefits, like enjoying the food that we like, having less food and drink restrictions, just a little bit. Don't go overboard, but
right.
You can do that. And then you could take fewer medications. Think of it this way. If you're pulling off waste every day and excess water every day, you have less issues that your medications are meant to take care of.
Right. And in our experience, when we enjoyed more frequent dialysis, home hemodialysis, Sam was, he came up with 3 different blood pressure medications and saved $300 a month because his blood pressure stabilized. So oftentimes when you are in center, your blood pressure will, what they call bottom out. It'll drop quickly because you're reducing the amount of liquid in your system quickly. And so your blood pressure drops. People oftentimes will pass out. They'll, what we call the dialysis hangover and all these different symptoms, cramping, nausea, headache. And when you're dialyzing more frequently, your system essentially stabilizes, including your blood pressure. So those medications that you're relying upon to make you feel better are reduced as well, and again, you have more freedom with your diet, you have more freedom with your schedule, and you're taking less medication because of more frequent dialysis. And one thing I'd like to include is, based on your doctor's prescription, even though you're dialyzing more frequently, the treatments, the time of the treatment is reduced. So in our experience, we went from 4.5 hours, 3 times a week, to 2 hours and 15 minutes, 5 times a week. That's like dinner and a movie.
And we also had the ability, because of that freedom in our schedule, we had the ability to go back to work. Lacey, as my care partner, she was tied to my dialysis schedule. However, we both went back to work full time, and we were able to dialyze either in the morning, afternoon, or night, depending on when we had that free time. And it was nice because, we didn't have to worry about the weather and having to even gas money to go somewhere that we didn't have to. And
Right.
so with that benefit of being on less medication and having more, more of a choice of what we wanted to eat, all that, and I say we because Lacey was there the whole time, but I had more energy. And so I could do these things and have a social life and go to work. But, also we had the energy to travel.
And that one was amazing because our passion is live rock and roll music. And we live in Houston, Texas, and we wanted to travel to Austin to go see live bands, which we did 6 weekends in a row after we started home hemodialysis. And initially it saved our lives. We started on a portable home hemo machine that allowed us to travel. And we had that machine home for 12 hours. And we were all excited about traveling. And our very first road trip was a hurricane evacuation.
Yeah. So, so many people are excited to travel, but what if you had to pick up and go? What if you literally had to run for your life? And that happened to us. And that machine, that ability to dialyze when and where we wanted, really saved our lives. So thank you for your time, and thank you everybody for being here. Any questions? We're here.
Thank you so much, Sam and Lacey, for telling us more about your story and sharing your thoughts about the freedom and the pets at home. And we just wanted to remind everyone, if you want any more information about home dialysis or your journey to transplant, COVID-19 information, or any relevant information, be sure to visit the network's patient portal, which is filled with resources and videos highlighting the many different important healthcare topics. And the patient portal is not only for patients, it's for caregivers and family members too. And you can visit it by scanning the QR code, or you can always visit our website, www.esrdnetwork.org/patient portal to find more information. So you've heard a little bit from our home dialysis heroes, and we definitely invite you to put your questions and comments in the chat and share a little bit more about your journey so we can make this an interactive call for everybody. But if you're interested in being a home dialysis hero, or if you know someone that's interested in being a home dialysis hero, let us know. We'd love to have more of these interactive calls, and we'd love to really support everyone to take charge of their care and move their dialysis to their home. So here's our contact information in case anyone does have any questions that they need to email us about later on. But with that being said, we would like to go through the chat and see if we've got any questions for our presenters. Let's see. It looks like we've got a question here. Do I have to wait to be referred to a home dialysis program, or can I go ahead and put in a request with my nephrologist to switch me to home or PD dialysis? Danny, would you like to answer that question?
Sure. Hello, everyone. This is Danny Anchia. I am with the ESRD network, dialysis nurse. I used to be a PCT, and now I am the QI director. So just wanted to introduce myself real quick. Thank you, all the presenters today. Excellent job. So to refer yourself to a home program, that was the question, right?
Yes. Do they have to be the referred, or can they request to be switched to a home or PD dialysis?
It can be either or. Honestly, if you are interested in home, you can request to speak to one of the PD or home dialysis nurses, and you can just go from there. And the facility is supposed to help you with that process. You actually have a right to choose which dialysis modality you want to do, even if the facility you're doing dialysis on right now doesn't offer a home program. They have the duty to refer you to a facility that actually does. Some companies, they have sister facilities that have a home program, so it will be an easy referral to transfer to that facility. And even if it needs to be to a different company, the facility should be able to assist you to make that transition. So yes, to answer your question, you can refer yourself, you can ask to be referred to a program, whether they offer it at that clinic or not. It is your right You get to choose what type of dialysis treatment you want to do, and it is the facility's duty to provide that information and that education and facilitate that transition for you.
Thank you. And it looks like we've got another question here for Sam and Lacey. Sam, you mentioned that Lacey has been a very supportive care partner. Do you feel like that's very important in home dialysis, or do you feel like it's something you could have done by yourself as well?
Yes, actually, you know, I probably could have done this myself. And actually, I know, and Lacey and I know tons of patients who can actually perform home treatments on their own. As a matter of fact, outside of home hemodialysis, peritoneal dialysis is really a one-person job. So, you know, I was blessed. I did have a partner in crime, if you will. And, you know, she was there. She didn't have to cannulate me. And I'll let her tell that.
Yeah, so because when we had been together about a year and started in-center, from day one, the in-center staff allowed me to come onto the floor, and I was educated and empowered along with Sam. I told him if I was going to start this journey with him, I wanted to learn everything I could. And the staff accommodated that. And so after about 3 months in center, the patient care technicians and nurses taught Sam how to self-cannulate. However, because I was so empowered and educated on the floor, and they allowed me to be there when we were first approached about home hemodialysis, I was already comfortable and confident in my ability to go home with him. And so when we first went home, we had a large floor machine, but I wasn't scared because I had been so educated along the way that I was ready for it. And it was really no question for me, because now I knew that we weren't on a chair schedule. We had the freedom to dialyze, you know, morning, noon, or night. And that was empowering for me. So as a care partner and a patient advocate, that's something I'm passionate about, bringing the care partners back into the equation. So I want them to feel confident in dialysis. It was motivating.
And a care partner doesn't have to be a spouse. It could be a friend.
Mm-hmm.
It could be, you know, a neighbor. It could be a family member within the house. So,
Sure.
you know, don't think that because, you know, you don't have somebody, you know, that you're, you know, married to, you don't necessarily have to have that in a care partner.
Sure. And one thing I would like to point out is nowadays, home dialysis, in my opinion, involves a care partner, not a caregiver. They are not entirely reliant upon you. Home dialysis is so patient friendly now that oftentimes there were times when he didn't need me at all. I mean, I was there in case he forgot the remote or food or whatever, but that was it.
I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you very much. And it looks like we have another question here. It seems like a lot to learn and take on. How long did it take you to learn how to do home or PD dialysis, and was it hard?
Is that for us?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Well, and you know what? It was awesome because, like we said, not PD, but we did HHD. But the cool thing was we were empowered, like we said, from the very beginning. The staff in center was really the spark that told us, you know, you can do this. They were always planting that seed. And every day that we went to treatment, they had another small lesson for us as far as, you know, here's how you wash your arm. Here's how you take your weight and your blood pressure. And then cannulation followed, and then running the treatment and learning about the machine. So it was as we were taught at our pace. We weren't on any kind of, you know, teaching schedule or anything like that. So, you know, they were instrumental in us going home. So when a nurse came in and said, hey, what do you think about home dialysis? we were actually, Lacey said yes before I did because we were so comfortable with the process.
Right. And like you said, every day we learned something new, whether it was, hey, today you're going to take your own blood pressure. We're going to teach you how to document your vitals. You're going to take your own temperature. And so then they started teaching us how to build the machine. We became self-care. And one day we were approached saying, with a home therapist nurse said, you're already doing this on your own. How do you feel about doing this at home? And I said, yes, please, before Sam could even answer, because we were basically already doing it.
Okay, that's great. And yes, like you mentioned, it's very important to have that supportive dialysis staff and community to kind of push you and give you more information about home. For Precious, we do have a question. What is something that you wish you knew to motivate you to do home dialysis?
Sorry, double muted.
No worries.
I wish that I was introduced to home dialysis. I had to start emergency dialysis, meaning that I had to receive dialysis inside of a hospital. My health was stable, and I was told later on that I was stable enough to start home dialysis. However, I was first introduced to in-center. And so I wish that I would have had that bedside education about different treatment modalities versus them just telling me, hey, you're going to start in-center hemodialysis. Here are a couple of clinics that are in your area. Let us know which one you choose, you select, and we will give them a call and make arrangements that way. So in-center was my first introduction. And it's like once I became comfortable with in-center and still not knowing much about home dialysis, only about some of the stories that I would hear, but I wasn't comfortable, I was like, I'm managing well in-center. I'm doing, my health is pretty good. However, I didn't have the freedom that I wanted. So I was willing to, just set aside my freedom just because I was comfortable in center. And I didn't know the health outcomes, the better health outcomes that I could have if I would have done home dialysis versus in center. I probably wouldn't have experienced a lot of fatigue. I probably wouldn't have experienced fluid overload. So there are a lot of things that, I gave up just because I was comfortable doing in-center and wasn't receptive to transitioning into home dialysis.
Okay, thank you very much, Precious. And it looks like we have another question here. I have been thinking about doing home dialysis, but I'm kind of iffy about it. I feel that I would miss my home dialysis my dialysis family. So maybe Sam or Lacey, could you possibly elaborate on this? How does it feel being in center versus at home dialysis?
I'll tell you what, and thank you for asking that question. What a great question. We had that same fear because we were so tight, not only with the staff there, but the people, the patients that we were so close to. However, when you're dialyzing at home, nobody's saying that you can't come and visit the clinic. You don't have to be there, and that's your choice. But something that often happens with our in-center patients that go home is they find something else to do with their time. And so we don't see them as often, but you can always stay in touch with those patient friends of yours. You can always set up outside events, to maybe get together or have a little, at this point, have a little Zoom chat or whatever you want to do. But, the fact remains that you can see them on your own time because you have your own time.
Right.
And those people could also benefit from you coming and telling your story and your
Yeah.
experience with home therapies.
Yeah, and educating them on, the fact that you have more freedom. You can pick up new hobbies or hobbies that you don't have time for anymore, because they do become your close friends and your family. I mean, let's face it, you spend a whole lot of time with them every single week. So you could be a positive influence on their lives as well. But you can definitely keep in touch. You just don't have to be there 3 days a week on a chair schedule. They're your friends, they become your dialysis family. So why not keep in touch with them?
That's a great point. Thank you. And we have another question here. Can you repeat how I would become a home hero? So if you or someone you know is interested in becoming a home hero, you can just reach out to the network or reach out to your dialysis staff. They can also help you get connected with us. And basically being a home hero is just kind of being a peer mentor or joining kind of a support group, virtual support group, kind of like what we're doing now, where you can just share more about your journey, learn more about others' journeys, and ask questions you have about home dialysis. And just like Sam and Lacey mentioned, you do create that dialysis family in center, and we want to help everyone keep that going, but in virtual means, so that way it's easy to connect when you're doing home dialysis. And then we have another question here. If it's a beautiful day and you have a portable dialysis machine, can you do your treatment outside on your patio?
Yes, you can.
Now, that would be something you would want to talk to your doctor about.
Mhm.
However, we know people that have dialyzed in RVs, in tents.
I know a couple in Iowa that dialyzed at a biker rally with an RV. As long as you have water and electricity and a place to put your drain, the portable machine that we had, that's all you really needed.
We have a friend who has grandkids, and they have a nice pool in the backyard.
Mhm.
Nice setup with the deck and everything. And he would cannulate inside, be ready to go, and then go out to his machine on the back porch and hook up to his machine and watch his grandkids swim in the pool and hang out and grill and have just a wonderful time. And it was like he never left.
Well, and our friend with the RV traveled nationwide with this RV and dialyzed in the RV anywhere he wanted to go.
Even on the beach.
Even on the beach. We have a picture of him dialyzing on the beach. And of course, you have to take some extra precautions, just to stay sanitary and safe. But yes, you absolutely can dialyze on your patio on a gorgeous day.
That sounds like a great plus of doing home dialysis. You could get a great scene. And it looks like we have another question here. Once you've gone through training, how often are follow-up visits to the home dialysis clinic?
Well, when I was dialyzing at home, with home dialysis, I had the equipment to draw my own labs, my own blood work, and send it in via mail.
FedEx.
Yeah, FedEx. And they gave you all the packaging and all the instructions to do that with. And so I only had to go for my follow-up to the clinic 1 day per month to visit the doctor.
But now with telehealth, oftentimes, depending on your nephrologist and the clinic, because you're sending your blood work in monthly, they will typically have you come in once every 3 months. You go in, 3 or 4 months quarterly. So as long as you have your blood work, you'll have a telehealth meeting with your doctor. And so with a lot of the advancements that have been made in healthcare and with telehealth that we have now, sometimes you're going in only quarterly. So you talk to your doctor, via FaceTime or whatever platform that you have once you send your blood work in.
It's as simple as that.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sam and Lacey, and thank you so much, Precious, and all of you for sharing more about your journey with home dialysis and just some of the myths and fears that you experience. And thank you everyone for being on the call. It looks like that's all the questions we have. But if anyone, well, actually we got one more question, sorry. Let me see what this one says.
Keep them coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one says, I have done home dialysis and currently doing hemodialysis due to abdominal surgery. I'll be able to do PD dialysis in about 5 more weeks. That's awesome. If possible, I can show others the box and area where I keep my supplies. Oh, well, thank you so much for submitting that comment. That was awesome. And we're very happy for you that you're going to be able to start PD dialysis soon. And we hope your journey goes very well. And let me just double check to see if there's any more questions. But yeah, if anyone else has any questions or comments, they would like to share more about their journey, definitely go ahead and submit that. We'd love to hear more about your journey so we can all interact. But if you just want to message us privately or give us a call at the ESRD network and learn more about how to be a home dialysis hero, there's our contact information and our email for you to reach us. Let me just take a look one more time at the chat, see if there's any more questions we have. Yeah, and it looks like that's all the questions and the comments we have for today's call. But once again, I thank you all from our Patient Advisory Committee, Precious, Sam, and Lacey for joining us, presenting, and letting us know more about your journey. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to contact us. Thank you all, and hope you have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for having us. It was an honor.
Thank you.